This program is brought to you by Bobway Media, a work of the Chipman Road Church of Christ in Lee's Summit, Missouri, and under the oversight of the elders of the Chipman Road Church of Christ. We thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me today here on Studies in Christian Evidences. This podcast is designed for elementary age children. Thank you for listening. Our memory verse for the next few weeks is from Genesis chapter 1 and verse 25. Here the Bible says, "And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good." Genesis 1, verse 25. Thank you for joining me today as we continue looking at our series, Science in the Bible, looking at now the second law of thermodynamics. You probably are old enough to know how to ride a bike. In fact, many of you listening probably have your own bicycle. Imagine getting a shiny new beautiful bicycle for your birthday. The tires are in perfect condition and the paint is spotless without any scratches or chips. What happens to your shiny new bike after you have been riding it for a year? Does the paint look as nice after a year or two as it did when you first bought it? What about the tires? Do they stay in perfect condition with great tread? Of course they do not. Your shiny new bike starts getting older and wearing down the minute you begin to ride it. Have you ever wondered why things wear down, break, or tear up? Think about your bedroom. Suppose you clean it, dust it, put it in perfect order, then leave it for the next 20 years. Will it look nice? Will it look nicer or cleaner 20 years from now? No way. In fact, if you left a room or a house alone for 20 years, dust would pile up inches thick, boards would rot, windows would break, and the ceiling would leak and fall in, and the room would be a disaster. Why do things like bicycles and bedrooms wear down over time? You can blame the messed up room and battered bike on the second law of thermodynamics. Remember, we said the first law of thermodynamics says that matter and energy are neither created nor destroyed in nature. They can change forms, but the total amount of energy stays the same. But the second law of thermodynamics says that when matter and energy do change form, they become less usable. Basically, the second law says things get more disorderly, more messed up, and less ordered. Let's see how this works. Remember last week when we talked about the wood in the fireplace? Energy was stored in the wood. When the wood was burned, energy was released as heat and gas. But that heat energy went out into the room and spread out so much that it was no longer useful for heating the house. When the energy in the wood changed into heat energy, it became less usable. Throughout the entire universe, the second law of thermodynamics is making energy less usable. Stars are burning out, machines are wearing down, pavement on roads is chipping away, animals and plants die and decay. This law causes every physical thing to break down, wear out, and decay. The second law is also a serious problem for those who believe in evolution. According to evolution, things in this universe have gotten progressively more orderly. Evolution says that life started with a single-celled amoeba and progressed over millions of years into higher animals and eventually evolved into humans. But this idea cannot be made to fit the second law of thermodynamics. Things are not getting progressively better, they are getting progressively worse. When faced with this problem, the evolutionist tries to wiggle away from the second law. For instance, he might say that the second law only applies to closed systems, where no energy comes from an outside source. He would then say that our Earth is an open system, since heat energy from the sun hits our Earth all the time. But when he says this, he still has some serious problems. First, no one has ever witnessed a real closed system. Every system ever studied in nature has energy going out of it and into it, and yet the second law still works on every system we have ever seen. Second, is it true that simply by adding energy, things necessarily get more complex and orderly? Absolutely not. Let's think about that. Suppose we take all the parts needed to build a powerful laptop computer and put them in a shopping cart. If we leave them there for 5 years, will natural processes such as storms, wind, and rain assemble them into a working computer? No way. What if we left the pieces there for 50 years? Would more time help the process? Will more time help the pieces get any closer to a working computer? Absolutely not. In fact, the longer they stay there, the more worn out they will become. Well, maybe it's because we do not have enough energy. Let's take that cart full of computer parts and put it in the middle of the desert where temperatures get well above the 100s. Well, adding more sunlight, that is energy, help the parts assemble in the computer. No, in truth, the sun will simply cause the parts to melt and get more disorderly. Adding more time or energy does not change the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics is a natural law that disproves evolution. Not only that, it is exactly what the idea of creation predicts. In the beginning, God saw everything that He had made, and indeed it was very good. But since that beginning, things have been wearing out, exactly like the Bible writer stated. You, Lord, in the beginning laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all grow old like a garment. Hebrews 1, verses 10 and 11. We can see this is yet another law that leads to God. Thank you for listening. We hope you have enjoyed today's program. You can find out more about Bob Wade Media by visiting our website at bobwademedia.org, as well as finding us on social media. And as always, to God be the glory.